It's the Abba podcast. Let's go. And the next guest on the podcast is none other than Abbas Miski. Abbas, how are we, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. How's things been in London? Change of environment, change of scenery?
Yeah, it's different, man. I've been here for I think 7 weeks now. Over here we're still in lockdown, so the only things that are open are supermarkets and whatnot. So it's pretty much just been training and back home. So I haven't really experienced London. The only thing I've experienced is the cold, pretty much, and that's about it.
Talking,
But
hey,
training's
sorry.
good.
Yeah, talking about the cold and the training, are you used to training in such climates, especially here in Australia? We don't have any other.
Man, yeah, well, in the winter months it does get pretty cold in Australia, and I've played some games where it gets really cold. But my very first week here was the absolute worst. Like the boys in the team were saying, this is literally the worst week we'll go through. So I came at the perfect time. It was snowing. My first week was snowing, and as soon as I got there, the first 2 sessions were pretty easy. They didn't push me too hard. But the third session was probably the most snow, and I had to do a 1.2K run, so 1.2K test. And man, I seriously felt like there was ice in my lungs. Like I could not breathe. So that first week was pretty hard for me.
Yeah, that sounds tough, man. Talk to us about rugby league and the journey that it's taken you on. Could you have ever imagined as a youngster that this was a journey you'd embark on and you'd be in the position you are now?
Um, it's all I wanted to do when I was a kid. I had no like second thoughts about it. So to say like I couldn't see myself here is a bit hard because like I did, like that's all I pictured. I just pictured myself, playing rugby league for a living. So I did sort of see myself doing that as a job, and it has come to be that way. It's been hard though, I wasn't a kid prodigy. I knew I wasn't, crack the NRL at age 17, 18. So it's been sort of a long haul. I didn't make my debut till 2 years ago, when I was 24. So I did picture it when I was a kid. I sort of always knew I was at least going to play one game of NRL. But yeah, the journey's been pretty tough.
Yeah, and tough indeed. But it's a lesson for people watching and people looking at your story that you never give up, with perseverance, hard work, determination. Look at what you've done with yourself. Like people from the area look up and admire you. Like I remember your debut. I was with your brother because I don't think you knew you were making your debut into the warm up. And we're like, Abbas is lining up. He's like, nah, what do you mean? And we all went to our phones. And it's something that the community, and especially with the World Cup, you would have seen yourself. Everyone gets behind you. You know them, don't know them, but they hear about you, and everyone loves those successful story.
Yeah, and everyone, from our sort of community has been really supportive. And it is like, you do get there's not kids, hundreds of kids running up to me on the street, but you do get your kids that are, look up to me, and, I like that. And yeah, like you said, it is one of perseverance, because I've only played a handful of NRL games, hoping to play more, but, it's a lot of kids' dreams to just play one NRL game and to just, train full time and just have that as a job. So, it's never too late. There's guys still making their debut at 26, 27 years of age. So, kids can do it, definitely.
100%. So tell us a bit about yourself. You started playing your junior football at Arncliffe Scots, transitioned to Kingsgrove Colts. How was a youngster? What were the sacrifices you had to do? What did rugby league teach you as a youngster? And what lessons did that, stand the test of time with you?
I actually started playing for Hurstville United. That was my first club, not Arncliffe. Played for Hurstville United for 2 years, and then I played SG Ball for St. George. And then I moved on to Arncliffe Scots for a year, I think 2 years maybe. Played under 17s and under 19s there, and then played for Kingsgrove Colts in Ron Massey Cup. That was at a time like I was, had just finished SG Ball, no 20s team really wanted to take me up. And I was still young, straight after SG Ball, you're still 17 or so you still can't play 20s really unless you're a gun. So Kingsgrove was in the Ron Massey Cup, so that's sort of just under the New South Wales Cup, but they weren't too strong, you know what I mean? So I went there, played the whole season there. That was probably the year that I enjoyed the most because it was playing against men, you know what I mean? Like we were getting smashed every game, most games. I think we won 4 or 5 games that season. But that was, if I have to look back at all my years, that was one of the best years because, first of all, I was versing men. I got a taste. I was playing in the halves for most of the season, which was good. So I experienced that. Met all of my close mates. I met that year playing at Kingsgrove, and I met the coach that was coaching there. Some people may know him, Jeremy Smith. He was a halfback back in the days. He played for South Sydney, not the Jeremy Smith that played for Newcastle. He played for the Kiwis. He's played a majority of his career overseas. But yeah, I met him, and he was like a massive turning point for me. After that, Kingsgrove, I signed with this manager that a lot of the boys were with. Just I didn't really know who he was. I just asked some of the boys, who their manager was. I had no manager, so I signed with him. And he got me a couple trials, but he got me a trial at Parramatta for the 20s. So I went there and I played really well. Ended up getting on trial at Parramatta. Trained a couple of weeks there. They were real happy with me. Ended up signing a contract, an under-20s contract there, and played under-20s there. From there, I signed to North Sydney Bears for 2 years. That was a massive step up as well. And then from there, played in the World Cup, went to Wentworthville to Blacktown to sign with Manly, and from Manly to London Broncos. So I've been to a fair few clubs, man.
It's been a journey, and I could only imagine it would have been a roller coaster of a ride. Tell us, a youngster, back in, when you're in your teenage years, it's hard enough being a teenager and then having the pressures of playing for a contract and expectations and trying to impress certain people to get a look in somewhere. Was there any tough times where you questioned what you were doing, and who got you through those moments? Because you can only imagine you needed a strong supportive system.
To be honest, man, for me it was a little opposite. To be honest, like I always had my family that supported me, but like now that I look back at it, I didn't really play the game for my family, man. Like a lot of guys do, a lot of guys go out there, to do it for their family and stuff. And I do now, I want to make them proud. But honestly, I was just a kid that loved rugby league so much, like you can ask most of my family, and I was, my parents wouldn't buy me a football when I was a kid, so a rugby league ball. So I used, a 1.25 litre bottle of Coke, like an empty bottle of Coke. I wasn't really, I never had those thoughts of, this is getting hard, like I want to stop. Like I didn't really care. Even if I was playing reserve grade footy for the rest of my life, like I just wanted to play footy. That's all I wanted to do. Like there were stages like over the last couple of years where I'm like, I'm getting a little older now, so I really got to start making money. Reserve grade money is not worth it. But growing up as a kid, I didn't care. Like I was never ever worried about what people thought or anything like that. I was just, all I cared about was playing rugby league.
So that's a lesson for the youngsters that are coming through the ranks, because a lot of people have the expectation of the world and others on their, burdening them. So basically your approach was the love of the game, doing it for yourself, chasing your passion and what you love, and letting the rest look after itself.
Yeah. And I didn't have to tell myself that, nobody sort of had to tell me that. It was just how I was, just naturally, you know what I mean? Like, I guess maybe it's a good thing to teach kids. It probably is, play the game for yourself. But it's just something that was instilled in me. All I cared about was just getting out there on that field. My dad didn't really like rugby league growing up. Like he didn't let me start playing until I was 14, 15 years old. So I grew up, not sort of playing rugby league, other than, in the park with my cousins and stuff. But like all my games, no one sort of came to my junior games. It was just me. Like I used to walk to Bexley Oval, and then walk back home. And then most of my training for, I started playing for Lebanon at a young age. I'd walk there, get my mum to drop me off. My mum helped a lot. But no one really came and watched my games. As I started moving up in ranks, like getting to under 20s and playing New South Wales Cup, most of my family started coming. But most of my junior career, nobody came to my games. And I honestly didn't even care.
So when you talk your junior career, when you started playing SG Bull with the Dragons, was there a step up? Did you feel that there was a more professional scene? Like, how did you take that coaching, that next level? Did you grow as a player, or was it something that you just continued with your stride?
Yeah, no, definitely. You realize that, like, obviously these representative teams and stuff, they're good. But my journey along the way, I felt like I had really good coaches, really good competition as well. So at SG Ball, we had a really good team, man. Like we had guys like Matt Duffy and Adam Fanor Blake in our SG Ball team. So it was really good.
Okay, we momentarily lost Abbas Miski, who was just talking about his SG Bull team and playing alongside Adam Fanor Blake, Matt Duffy and the likes at the St. George Illawarra Dragons, where he played his junior football before moving to Parramatta under 20s, where he does score 12 tries in 24 matches. We momentarily have lost him. The internet connection is poor.
Hornby, straight after he retired.
Sorry, Abbas, we lost you after saying the Adam Fanor Blake and Matt Duffy. The internet in Australia is terrible.
That's all right. It's probably here. We had a pretty good team for SG Ball. You know, we had guys like Adam Fanor Blake and Matt Duffy in that playing. And that year, Ben Hornby was coaching us. So it was pretty much straight after he retired. So I was lucky enough to have him as a coach. And I was a real intuitive kid. Like, I paid attention to everything just because I felt like I was behind. You know, I didn't start playing rugby league till late. I always thought, like, you know, everyone was sort of better than me. So I had to, like, you know, pay attention a lot more. And so I did, you know. And then under 20s, I had, like, you know, Luke Bird and Nathan Kalis and Stephen Hales, like guys like that. So, you know, like, these guys I was watching these guys growing up. So I was like starstruck, you know. And even after that, you know, like North Sydney Bears, I had, you know, a guy named Ben Gardner who was really smart. He was hard, but he was smart. So, you know, all these coaches helped me to sort of become a better player. Like, without them even, you know, putting too much attention into me, it was just me paying a lot of attention to just everything that they're saying.
Yeah, so that's what comes when you're passionate and you actually love doing what you're doing. Now, you growing up, you love playing rugby league, and that was all you saw. Tell us about the sacrifices you made, because when you went into the under-20s at Parramatta, you had a very impressive try record ratio. You scored 12 tries in 24 games. And if memory serves me right, you scored a hat-trick one of those afternoons.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard season for us. I don't think we made the 8. I think we just missed out. But it was all right, you know. And like you said, it is a step up, because I had guys like, I had Bevan French at fullback, so he was feeding me a lot of tries. You know, I was lucky enough to be on the end of those, some of his passes and some of his footwork. So yeah, that was pretty good. That was a good season for me. And seeing that, you know, it came off of a trial. You know, like, all I did was trial for Parramatta, and I didn't sign until, you know, 3-4 weeks later. I was pretty proud of that season for myself.
Yeah, it was a proud season. You did a couple of intercept tries coming from your half and defensive reads, and you did really well there, which obviously you won the Lebanon World Cup radar. Talk to us about that next transition under Freddie Fittler. How was the camp there? And boy, did you guys go close.
Yeah, that was one of the better things of my career so far, man. That was really good. We sort of knew we were going to have a good team. You know, you put it all on paper and you're like, oh, look, we got Mitch Moses playing, and we got, you know, Robbie Farah and all that. But, like, we saw our draw and we had Australia, England, and France, and we were going, shit, you know, this is going to be tough. And then we, you know, I think Freddie Fittler didn't sign with us until, I think, a bit later, because we had the Penrith coach, Ivan Cleary, first, I think.
Yeah.
This was a while before. I think just when we were in talks, you know, we're having meetings, but then he backed out, and then Brad Fittler came in, and, you know, we had a pretty good team, you know, like a lot of guys that played NRL, but yeah, like I said, we looked at the draw and we're like, this is going to be hard, but again, we went into camp and it ended up being one of the best camps ever, and I think most of the guys from Lebanon will tell you that as well. Man, Brad Fittler is like a really good coach that, you know, before the technical, tactical stuff, just works on, you know, getting all the boys together, makes you want to play for each other. And we had Luke Bird as assistant coach as well. And all the boys in that team were honestly so good. Like, you wanted to go that first game, you know, all the games, actually, we never went out there to say, like, let's just compete. We went out there to say, you know, saying let's win, you know, and we did. We beat France round one, put us into the finals. You know, we competed pretty well against England. Then, you know, Australia was a tough game. It was 12-0 at half time, you know. So we were going all right. But then, you know, Australia being Australia came out in 36-0. So, but it was a step up, man. Like you said, it was a massive step up. With the players around you, you know, the NRL players around you and the coaches, and, you know, Brad Fittler's different coaching style to what I'd learned. It's a step up and a learning experience. So that was so helpful for me.
Talk to us a bit about Freddie and the camp, because Freddie's known for a bit of wacky techniques. And what things did he get you doing? And you're probably scratching your head and like, what are we doing?
Yeah. At the start, you were scratching your head, and at the end, you just bought into it. Because, you know, if you didn't feel like it was helping you, it was actually like funny, you know, like everyone got together, all the boys got around each other. You know, we were meditating most mornings. So we were staying at the Novotel in Olympic Park. So we'd go across the road and just, there was a massive park there. Everyone would bring a towel with them and take your shirt off, and you just lie under the sun and meditate. And it'd be walking above you, just like taking you through, you know, sort of your breathing. That was pretty good though. Like I got to say, that was, you know, that was nice. Yeah, just a lot of team dynamic things. Just getting all the boys together. Luke Burt took over most of the, you know, video stuff. So it was a bit funny, you know, like he was more of that team camaraderie thing more than anything else. And I thought, like, at the start, I thought, is this guy going to get into any like technical, tactical stuff? Like, is this guy going to teach us anything? But, you know, that stuff was important, you know, the boys getting around each other, you know, wanting to play for each other. But later on, he did come out and, you know, start talking technical, tactical stuff, which, you know, he's a smart guy, so that helped. But yeah, meditating, some of the crazy stuff he was doing. I don't know, he's just a crazy person himself, just when he talks, you know, like.
Yeah, no, you see that. I had 2 weeks ago, I had Shane Flanagan on the pod, and he was telling us about the techniques and the camaraderie and how important it is when they won the premiership in 2016. And he's like, you have players like James Maloney and Bo Ryan who weren't ever invited to any of those sessions because that'd be an absolute distraction and a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I bet so.
So I couldn't imagine Maloney in Origin camp with Brad Fittler. He would have done his head in.
Yeah. But it's good, man. You got to have those guys around. And we did have a lot of those characters. In every team, there's those characters. But, yeah, you know, training can't be too serious sometimes. That's what I feel, you know.
100%. And in the Lebanon camp, who was that guy? Who was the character? Who was the one that was making the boys always laugh?
Man, honestly, I could name about 10. But, you know, guys like Michael Leisha were hilarious, you know, bigger guy, Mitch Mamrie. But most of them, man, everyone, you know, there's a bunch of Lebos. So, like, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that, man. You're dealing with Lebos. It's like you're going to be a bit more than a normal team.
Yeah.
So, look, that was good, man. We fell short against Tonga. Talk to us about the Tonga game and how close we got as a country and a nation. And how did you guys feel as players having the backing of the whole Lebanese community, just as the Tongans did as well?
Yeah. Well, man, we played at New Zealand, and honestly, the stadium that we played at, it was just a sea of red. Like, there were Tongan fans everywhere. But, man, they're pretty cool fans. Like, they were cheering for us as well. Like, when I scored a couple of tries, they were cheering for me. I was kind of, all right, thanks, whatever. But, yeah, going into that game, and we never had a doubt. We always, like I said, we thought we were going to win. Like, we knew we were going to, like, that's all we knew, that we're going to win. You know, we didn't want to compete. We just wanted to win. And we started off pretty strong against them. So, you know, like, if it was like, you know, 20-0 their way at half time, we would have, you know, lost our heads a bit. But it was close the whole time, you know what I mean? Like, we'd score a try and they'd score a try. So that was an experience, man. And we had guys like Mitch Moses and Robbie Farah who were like really good for us that game. But yeah, we scored that try that ended up being disallowed. So that was pretty upsetting. Right to the last minute, man, we thought we were going to win. It was a hard one to swallow, eh? And we did. We had so much support. We loved it. Even after every game, after the France game, after the England game, Australia game, and we knew we had heaps of support, even though we weren't in Australia with that Tonga game. But and everyone was congratulating us on a great series, but everyone was pretty devastated we didn't win that game. That's for sure. Us as players, very devastated.
100%. And even the Tonga game, like I thought that I'm very biased, but I thought the Lebanese team finished stronger and actually looked like the more deserving team. And I'm always pretty one that's gutted after a game, but I was actually more proud than anything because, geez, before the World Cup, the politics that were going on before in Lebanon and the badge getting covered and everything else, then the performance you guys put on, it's like, wow, you absolutely stole the show. I think Lebanon and Tonga stole that World Cup.
Yeah, and again, we sort of closed off everything on the outside that was going on the outside, and we like I said, we got together and played for each other, so it was good. We were proud, we were gutted, we were heaps gutted, but about losing that game, but we were proud as well.
Yeah, 100%. And does that now give you added motivation, especially because you had the taste to go on to the next World Cup?
Yeah, so it's this year, man, over here in England, so I don't got to go far. Yes, be exciting, and I can't remember what our draw was, but we're based in Manchester, and just looking at the team on paper, it's not set, but the players that we do have available looks good again, man. And I know there's heaps of young kids coming through, so it should be exciting.
No, exciting indeed, Abbas. I don't know what's gone on, but we've momentarily lost you. Footage-wise, there we are. We're back. Yeah, you guys have New Zealand, Jamaica, and Ireland, if I'm not mistaken, in your draw at the World Cup.
Yeah, that's a hard draw, but Australia and England aren't in it, so that helps a little bit.
So yeah, no, that does indeed. And I'm guessing players like Mitchell Moses and Dewey and the likes will also be available for selection for this one, eh?
You'd hope so, yeah. Obviously, she's playing pretty well, so he could be available for Australia as well. So if he's got that opportunity, I don't see why he wouldn't take it.
Yeah, that's true. And talking about someone that might be available that looks like you, and you guys put a lot of media attention, Josh Mansell, he might be available too.
Yeah, I think he will be, man. Yeah, that'll be good, man. I think we'll have a pretty good some good outside backs. There's heaps of good ones coming around. Josh, Adam Dewey. There's still the Reece and Travis Robinson brothers. So man.
They're looking onwards and upwards. So then from there you go on to continue. You went to Wentworth Magpies.
Yeah, Wentworth Magpies.
And then from there you went to Blacktown Workers Sea Eagles, and then you made your debut for Manly-Warringah. Talk to us about playing for such a prestigious club like Manly, making your debut, and being under the ranks of someone like Des Hasler.
Yeah, it was good, man. It was the same thing there. So I was signed at Blacktown, but there's weeks where they'll call you into training and you just go do a couple sessions. So I went in there, done a couple sessions here and there. I think they were pretty happy with me, and they signed me on a sort of week-to-week contract. And that's what I was on pretty much up until, Manly had a string so on the week-to-week contract, I was training pretty much full-time, but it just wasn't a year's contract, so they could just tell me to leave at any time. But anyway, you take that opportunity, and so I was training week-to-week. They had a string of injuries, heaps of injuries that year, and that's pretty much how I made my debut. At that point, Dylan Walker was still suspended for something, I can't remember what, and I sort of looked around, and I was just I was on a week-to-week contract, so you got to remember this team's full of 36 players, so, and I was outside that 36, just on a week-to-week contract, so they had enough injuries that a week-to-week player could make their debut, and that's how I made it, so maybe that's a secret to staying injury free most of the time. That's how you can make your debut. But yeah, so I ended up that week was a bit weird because I didn't know if I was going to play. Des came up to me and he told me, look, you could play. This was on a Monday or Tuesday, so I was just training hard and trying to stay ready. And then I think Thursday or Friday I got the okay that I'd play. I played, and then a couple of weeks after that, I ended up signing a contract, so it was a bit more stable. It wasn't a week-to-week thing. But yeah, it was such an experience, and it was so good. Just the whole training with them was great. Like the caliber of players around you, like Evans and the Turbo brothers and stuff like that. That was good. So I definitely by far learned the most there at Manly those 2 years. And Des and the other coaches, the assistant coaches, like were really good. Like Michael Monaghan was one of the assistant coaches there, so he dealt with the outside backs mostly. I didn't really like to talk to Des too much. He's a bit of a scary man. It did teach. Obviously you do listen and you do learn a lot. But I worked closely with like Michael Monaghan and the other outside backs, George Stafora and that, and they taught me so much. So I learned so much from those 2 years there.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a learning experience when you're rubbing shoulders with caliber players that you mentioned. What do you feel that is going wrong with Manly at the moment? Because it feels like they've got the team on paper. They might be lacking in a few places, but something's not gelling.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's I still watch them every week. I've got a soft spot in my heart for them. It's hard to say, man. They did go up against two very hard teams to begin with, Roosters and Rabbitohs, but still, getting that scoreline put on you by Roosters is probably not them. They can definitely do much better than that. I think they will turn it around. Like they do have the team for it, but it's a bit hard after a couple losses. You get caught in a rut of your standards go down a bit, and you get caught in a rut of let's just hang on or let's just compete with this team. Whereas where you get caught in that rut of let's just compete. But I think after they string together a couple wins, get a bit more confidence, they'll be all right. Who do they got this week? I can't remember.
This week's team, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Manly got the... sorry?
It's definitely easier than the Roosters of South, I think so. It's two hard rounds to start the year for them.
Yeah, they got the Dragons Friday night football, 6:00.
Oh, there you go. That'll be good, yeah. That's the game.
So in theory, they should turn it around. Then, Turbo. How do you feel someone like Turbo would feel? Missed most of last year, started this year, misses out because of injury. You know him on a bit of a personal level. How do you feel the character he is and how he'd be responding to such setbacks?
Yeah, it's hard to say, man, because it's happened so many times, for him. Like he's so professional, though. So, I don't know. I feel for him. I saw him go through it last year. Most of the time, he was in rehab, and you can tell. Like I saw it happen after a couple of sessions. Like he was at a training session and he done his hammy, and you can tell he gets real upset because all he wants to do is play. Why wouldn't you want to play? But he's so professional. Like I know he'd be doing everything to get back out on the field, but it's hard. It's a hard thing to swallow, man. Like it's happened so many times. You think it won't happen, and then it just does.
100%, man. And look, something with yourself, and you're probably not going to admit it because you're a humble bloke, but you're an ultimate professional that you always ticked all boxes. You're always in the gym, always doing your rehab, always doing your stretching, always putting yourself at the right place at the right time. It's by no luck that you made your NRL debut. You were in the positions that you were, played in the World Cup, scored tries, scored in the NRL, went over and continued to pursue your dream overseas. Talk to us about the struggles of keeping your body in that tip-top NRL level shape that gave you the chance to pursue your dream.
Yeah, I think when I was it helped when I was young. I did go through a lot of training. Sometimes like injuries are you just get unlucky with them. Sometimes you can't stop them. I did definitely take care of my body a lot. Like I was training hard. I was trying to get strong in the gym. I wasn't skipping exercises, on any of my programs. But sometimes injuries are a hard one to swallow. So, I don't know. Like I was doing a lot of my recovery stuff. And you have to, like, coming into NRL pre-seasons, like the last 2 years at Manly were honestly, the pre-seasons are so hard. I don't know how it is at other clubs, but at Manly it was so hard. Like I'd go back home and like I couldn't move. So like you were forced to sleep early and eat well and just to recover. So again, yeah, if you're not those two are the main ones for me, like sleep and eating well. I tried to take care of them before I before I'd done anything else. So I guess, if you want to up your training, the only way you're going to do it is through doing those two things right. So I definitely was like training hard, but I was trying to do the small things right, like sleeping, eating, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, look, yeah, it's very important for the listeners to look and to appreciate what you've done, because you are the ultimate professional, and those 1%ers are the boxes you always ticked. Because I remember, when you were at Parramatta under 20s, you were also at the gym, and geez, you're the best. You never checked the cards or anything. Shout out to you for that. But you always are putting in those extras.
Yeah. Probably a little too much in the gym, to be honest. But I was. Yeah. But I was always in the gym. I always wanted to get stronger and whatnot. And I think that's helped. I think that's gone a long way to helping me stay injury free. I definitely think that there's probably some correlation between being stronger and being less injury prone. But yeah, I was doing that. I was, trying to do all the 1%ers, get enough sleep, get enough food, and touch wood, I haven't had that many crazy injuries along the way. I've had some, pretty bad ones, but nothing too recurring, like constant hamstring injuries or some bad knees or something like that.
Yeah, no, 100%. God willing, you stay injury free. Look, talk to us a bit about, yourself. You've scored in World Cup, scored in quarterfinals, scored in the 20s, scored in the juniors. A lot of success has followed your career thus far. Talk to us about the game against the New Zealand Warriors and that quick spurt, a couple of tries you score before halftime.
Yeah. So I played 3 games that year. That was last year. I played 3 games. And that was the last game. And I don't know, I was sort of like, in the back of my head, I told myself, look, I got to play well here. Like I got to, I was off contract that year. So I was like, I got to do something, I need my name out there a little bit. But I was telling myself that, but it wasn't like, that's not the only thing I was thinking about. I try not to think about that sort of stuff. And that week I'd actually forgotten I have metal studs, metal boots and normal boots. And the field over there is very dry at Central Coast. So I forgot my, my normal boots. I had to wear my metal ones. And I don't know if anyone's worn metals, they're all right. They're good. But you really want to wear them in wet conditions because they're a bit heavier than normal ones. So I was stressing before the game, and I was trying to see if anyone else had size 13 boots, normal boots, because I didn't want to wear my medals and stuff. And it was a hot day. I needed to reduce fatigue as much as possible that day. So I was stressing out before the game. But anyway, I just put my medals on and I ran out. It was a pretty close game to start off, I remember before I scored any of those tries in the first half, I think I dropped the ball. It was a bit of a bad pass, but I think it was a 3-on-2 on a short side or something. And Tavita Funa, the fullback, threw me a ball, and I think I just dropped it over the line or something. And I was spewing. I was like, that's it. That was my chance to score a try. I'm not going to score a try. Every kid's dream to score a try. And it was a pretty close game. I think we were losing by 1 or 2 tries at that point. And then at the end of the first half, I don't know what I was thinking. It was just broken play. I don't know if anyone's seen the try, but it was broken play, and I was just all the way on the sideline. I can feel the other winger creeping in, so I just started running, thinking Daly will put a long crossfield kick in or a deep kick in out the back, and I'll just chase it because there wasn't long left anyway. But he ended up putting a grubber in. And I thought as soon as he put that grubber in, I thought to myself, why the hell are you putting a grubber in? Out of all kicks, a fucking grubber, they're going to catch that. And honestly, I don't think as soon as that ball left his boot, he's probably thinking, why did I put a grubber in as well? But that just bounced right over. And there was a tall winger on the other side from New Zealand. It bounced right over his head. And I somehow ended up in my hands. And yeah, I was looking for someone on the inside. Looking back at the video, I thought there was no one there. Looking back, just thinking at the time, I thought there was no one there. But I saw Daly coming back on the inside. But thankfully, bit of work and ended up getting my first try for the year. And then straight after first time was a bit of an easy one. Straight after halftime, just catch and put it down. So yeah, 2 tries for my last game. I was pretty happy with that.
It's got to be a bucket list dream come true, because I remember I'm not a Manly fan, I'm a Knights fan, But I was always looking at the team list to make sure to see if you're playing and whatnot. And you were on the score list. I go, shit, I'm watching. I went and got the Foxtel Go, rewinded it a bit to make sure I got to catch it. And the viewers will see it before you're talking. I'm going to put it on. So talk to us, a young Abbas growing up. How would you have taken that news that you were going to do what you did?
Are you talking about the last game, scoring a couple of tries?
Yeah, scoring at NRL level, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, obviously, like I said at the start, as a kid, I pictured myself scoring hundreds of tries in NRL games. You know what I mean? So, but it's just that last game. Again, in the back of my head, I was like, shit, like I could never play NRL again. You know, here. So I never told myself I wanted to score a try that game though. Like I never thought like I got to score a try. I just thought I got to play good. You know, that's all I got to do. I got to do everything I can to play good. And then that first one happened, and I'm telling you, after you get your foot, like it's addictive, man. It's like a drug. Like I just wanted to be everywhere in that game. You know, like after I scored my first try, I was just like, shit, like I want another one. And I scored, first thing in the second half, and I just thought like I just wanted to be everywhere. Like I wanted to score 4 or 5 tries that game, but my calves gave out on me in the back end. Ended up cramping up with like 10 minutes left, so yeah, had to get off the field there. So I hadn't played a lot of games that year as well because of COVID and stuff. So the New South Wales Cup comp was called off. So there wasn't really anywhere that you could drop back down to and play. So I was just training. If you weren't playing, you were just training that year. And I was 18th man for, honestly, like 12 weeks. So I'd train with the team, put on my boots, go to the game, warm up, and then just head back into the showers, have a shower, and then go out and watch the game. So that's how it was for most of the year up until, the last 3 games of the year. So, and then that last one, getting a couple of tries I was pretty stoked with that. I had a pretty good, my off season was a lot better just knowing that I scored a couple of tries that year.
100%. Talk to us a bit about the COVID bubble and, the battle to get into the squad. And towards the back end of the season, how was the season when you reviewed it, knowing all the setbacks with COVID and the lack of game time you were getting?
Yeah, it's not ideal, man. It's not ideal at all. You don't want to be missing games. It's hard, it's not hard to get back. Guys have long-term injuries. It's not hard to sort of get back, but it's not losing a year, but you just want to be playing. You just want to be playing footy. Like a lot of younger kids would have felt it as well. A lot of kids at the playing under 20s and stuff. I think they had to move under 20s to under 21s or something like that. So it was hard not playing. We didn't think much of it when it first came out. When we were around and this COVID thing started coming, and we didn't really think much of it. And then it started getting a lot more serious. And most NRL teams were still training. I think NRL was one of the last sports to stop. So it was a little weird. Like it did get weird. We had to check our temperature every morning. We couldn't get out of the car. They were real strict on, man, you couldn't even blow your nose around training. You couldn't, but like if you had any signs of any flu or something, they were pretty scared about that, just so it doesn't spread and stuff. Like nobody wanted to be no NRL player wanted to be that player that got COVID and just shut down the comp. So I think everyone was a little scared of that. And I don't think any players ended up getting it, but so yeah, it was hard. The bubble thing was definitely hard. The boys didn't. A lot of the boys, like going out playing golf and just going to restaurants and stuff, and we couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like we couldn't even stop at the coffee shop on the way in and grab a coffee. And it ended up changing. I ended up being, you can stop and grab a coffee, but you have to wait outside. But at the start, it was like you can't even, like, unless it's absolutely necessary, you cannot stop anywhere. Like you stop for petrol if you need to, and then you go back. And like for guys, with a bigger name, it would be hard for them. As soon as you see guys like Daly or someone breaking the rules, someone's going to take a picture of him or something. So it would have been hard for a lot of the boys. It was hard.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of pictures of Kalen Ponga circling that he was sitting at a restaurant when he shouldn't be, but he was actually waiting for his food to come out. You get a lot of that with social media, man, because all it takes is one photo or one person to, like, even you look at Tommy Turbo, the running. It went all over the news, that he tore his hamstring running against some random bloke at Manly.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. It's tough. But look, so you go on, You finish off the season at Manly. Talk to us about how the next move going to London, the London Broncos. How does that come up? And what are you thinking when the offer is put on the table for you?
Yeah, it was like we sort of, me and my manager waited around for a little bit to see if there was anything in Australia worth staying for. There were a couple things, but like I was at I'm at a point, and I was at a point where I was just like, look, I think it might be a good idea to, go try my hand over there. It's not like, I achieved it. I played, I made my debut, blah, blah, blah. Because, I want to play more than 6 NRL games, that's for sure. I want to be able to play consistently at the highest level. But I just thought, I could definitely give the Super League a good crack. And, it is an experience as well. Like I want to finish my career saying that I experienced, a lot of things, and, I got paid to travel and whatnot. It's not the reason I'm doing it. I'm still, my eyes are still on the prize, to play at the highest level consistently. But as get a bit of traveling done, experience this part of the world, while still training full time and whatnot. And I wouldn't say like the players here are great, like really good. And the Super League, is on par with the NRL, but there is a lot more competition in Australia. Like, rugby league is everything in Australia, whereas over here, football is religion. Football, as in soccer, for us. So like, I didn't think to myself it would be easier. Like, it's still just as hard, but like I just thought I may have more of a chance. Just play consistent footy at Super League level here.
Yeah, and it's another chapter in the journey, that you haven't closed the book on coming home. And like you said earlier, game time's important, getting that experience is important. And the offer was something worthy of you moving and relocating. Talk to us about that move. So you've moved. Was it hard moving from family, friends, your social groups, or are you just accustomed to it and you see it as something that you enjoy?
It's hard. Like, leaving family and stuff, it definitely is. But like I've had it pretty comfortable, growing up and stuff. Like I've had, thankfully a good family that helps me a lot. So like, I've told myself, I'll struggle for a bit. That any place can feel like home real quickly. Like this place that I'm at now, honestly feels like home. My friends and family and cousins and everything from Australia aren't here. I still FaceTime them every day. But you make new friends, and I'm definitely, it's not like I'm not going back to Australia. So it's hard, but it's not crazy. Like I'm bearing this place almost feels exactly the same as Australia does.
100%. I had Bilal Dib, the boxer, on the podcast last week, and he was like, he goes into camp, he relocates, he goes to discomfort. Like, he lives in the Gold Coast, comes to Sydney. And I told him, how do you feel? Because he has 3 kids and he's married. He's like, when I'm on business, I numb myself. I don't have any sentiments home. I do my work, I go home. Do you share something similar to that?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, I just try not to think about it too much. Like, it's not, obviously I'd like to be with my family and whatnot, but there's things here that, that I want. There's things here that, I guess you can call it numbing it, but it's not a hard pain. You know what I mean? Like, I know my family's still there, etc. Back in the days, it'd probably be hard if I didn't have contact with any of them, before the age of, mobile phones and whatnot. But, like, I'm not thinking about it too much. I'm just thinking about myself here and what I got to do here. So yeah, I guess he's right. I guess it is numbing it a bit.
So the task at hand is to, do well with the London Broncos, but you guys got a victory last week or this week that he's had. What was the incident in the 37th minute? What's going on? What happened?
Yeah, so the goal is, the good thing about here is, they have promotion and relegation, just sort of like the football, which is not in the NRL, and the team's looking good, man. So they've, we're going to be definitely fighting for promotion. So that's exciting. It makes you just want to play that much harder. Like I think they should introduce that in the NRL, but it would like the logistics of it and stuff would be hard. But yeah, we had our first game. So it's still, this wasn't round one. This is like a Challenge Cup happens before the year, where pretty much teams across all three levels like face off, you know. So we versed like a League One team. So we won. It was a bit of a scrappy game, you know, seeing as that was the first one in a while for most of the players playing. So this week we'll verse, I think it's York, which is a bit of a stronger team. They're in the championship as well. And then I think if we win that, we'll just keep moving forward to eventually versing like a Super League team. But yeah, we won. The refs, they warned me before the game. They said the refs here are a little different. Yeah, they're a bit more strict. Man, I think I was like, the boys had a bit of a scuffle, and I was coming to the middle of the field to like take a carry, and and they were having a scuffle, and I just walked in I just walked in to sort of break it up, and then someone, you know, wrenched the back of my jersey. So me and him started having a scuffle, but there weren't any punches thrown or anything like that. There wasn't anything thrown, but he ended up sending me off because he said you ran in from the left wing. He not sent me off, sorry, he simbied me, and he was pretty angry about it. And I thought, wow, this guy doesn't like me or something. Anyway, spent 10 minutes there. I'm not used to spending 10 minutes in the bin, and it's real cold over here as well. So it was weird. Like I felt like I just finished the game, and then I had to re-warm up. Like, you know, and it was right at half time as well. So I pretty much spent 8 minutes, another 10 to 15 minutes half time, and then another, you know, 5 or 6 minutes, you know, in the bin again after half time. So I was pretty cold, you know, so I had to re-warm up. And then as soon as I got on the field again, I think there was a drop ball or something, and the players on the other team were like, you know, they were holding the ball. There wasn't like nothing angry about it. And I went to go snatch it off him, and the ref looks at me. He's like, mate, there's always something happening around you. Like, and it was real. And I thought, that's it. Like, this ref just is not going to like me all season. Next time, I think there was another little scuffle towards the end of the game, and I just went nowhere near it. I was like, I'm not getting it again. I was like, so get used to.
He had it in for you. So, talk to us. Your team held on defensively. You did well. You had 2 in the sin bin at that time. What was the coach saying after? Was he trying to tell you that this is maybe how the referees do it? Did he have a chat with you, or you just left?
No, it was a bit hard because we were versing like a League One team, so that I wouldn't say they were poor, they were good, but like it's just, you can tell the difference when you're versing like a lower team versus a higher team. You know, the standard just goes up. So for us, it was just like there was a lot of mistakes. He didn't really care too much like about the bin and stuff, like the sim binning and whatnot. He knows, and I think all the boys know that the standard's going to go up this week, you know, versing a championship team, and then if we win that, you know, again the week after. So it was a hard game. It was a hard game to gauge, man. Like it was a real hard game to gauge. Like I think what we got out of it was, you know, everyone got some, you know, K's in their legs, if you want to call it that. Like everyone sort of played a good, you know, 60 to 80 minutes worth of footy, you know, get your body used to it after a long time. So next week will be a bit better. I don't think anyone's too fussed about, you know, the scoreline or the sim binning or anything like that. There are things that we need to fix. You know, we're going to watch a lot of video tomorrow. There are things we need to fix, but again, it's a hard thing to gauge versus a lower ranked team.
Yeah, so the London Broncos, man, I never knew I was going to support the London Broncos. We're backing you the whole year. We're rooting for you all in Australia. You
Thanks,
know, keep doing what you're doing, man. We're going to watch your space. We're going to, you know, continuously have you on, maybe for shorter periods to preview the footy, to preview what's going on with you. Anything you want to tell the fans and the people and the listeners that are listening to this?
Nah, man, thanks to you for having me on, and thanks for, you know, whoever's supporting me from Australia. I'm going to, you know, try and do you guys proud.
And proud you've already done us, man. You keep doing you. You know, we'll keep watching and supporting you with the pom-poms and the cheering. We want to see you in the World Cup as well. Hopefully we'll see you back in Australia. We want promotion. Best of luck in the Challenge Cup. Abbas Miski, guys. His socials will be under these. They'll be sent to all the forums. And thanks for coming on, man. Pleasure. Champion.
Man, my pleasure.